Good morning again. Here we are in the Kubu. Come over to say hello to one of the neighbours of my good friend who I've been spending some time talking with. Very interesting, getting the insight. But ostensibly, I've spent this time, which initially was to film around Manila, which I did do for one day, but got somewhat waylaid with my English friend here. Well, two of my English friends. One that you probably know, Ian, living in the Philippines, and another guy from Holland, England, anyway. And they've been extremely supportive, helping me find my way around here, taking me to the various places I need to be. And it's always great to know that the teamwork that we as expats can achieve is really greatly appreciated. But having discovered that my passport was due to be renewed in, I think, end of May, I realized that I needed to get that sorted. So I'm using this time to do that. My goodness, what a hoo-ha. You apply online, fill in all the dots and tick all the boxes, get all the details from all the documents that you have. And then you can't just send them away. You've got to take them down to the Australian embassy here in Manila. But you can't even do that. You've got to apply for an appointment to have it dealt with. So the earliest I can get it done is towards the end of this month. And that's a bit of a bum. You know, if an embassy can't have the facilities, it shouldn't offer that as a service. It should allow the whole thing to partake on the basis of, for the number of people in the community who are using their service. I can't imagine that there are that many people here, Australians, looking to renew their passports each day here in the Philippines. But never mind, that's the way they do it. And also, instead of it being done by Australia Post at your local post office in Australia, I believe it's still done by them. But there's a handling fee, of course, for diplomatic issue. The fact that you're in another country. With today, with the ability to check on the internet, it just astounds me. I did the whole process with my English passport. Whole thing, very simple, online. Photograph, everything. You can't even provide a photograph for your application on the Australian passport. And for those that ask that question, yes, the Australian, for some unknown reason, has the most expensive passport renewal costs in the world. Over $500 for a 5-year passport. Isn't that absolutely, it's crazy. Where does it cost? So for every person applying for their passport to be renewed, the Australian government rakes in $500 plus. That's disgusting. You know, when you look around the world at what has to be done to create a passport. When you start filling out the form, you also initially start with providing your details, your existing passport, and within milliseconds, they've already confirmed that they found your account. You know, if they can do it that quick, the computer can do it that quick, why can't they make the process quicker too? Shouldn't have to go through an embassy unless maybe for a visa application. But for a passport renewal, unheard of. But never mind, we got that done. Now, the other thing, of course, is that when you get a new passport, you then have to go back to immigration, and you have to get immigration to transfer from your old passport the details to your new passport. Again, a process that isn't that easy when you live in La Union, because a lot of that is done in Manila or the much bigger satellite services. In La Union, if you're up in San Fernando, you have to go to Puro, which is really a very small office. As sufficient as they appear to be, they still often have to pack everything up and send it by courier to Manila for processing. So it's a thing to remember, especially if you're due to fly out sometime soon or you need an emergency processing done. The other thing, of course, is, the old classic communication. Like I said before, I spend quite a bit of time since I've been here talking to a really nice old lady who was married to, I say was, she's a widow now, was married to a English guy. And she's she's very worldly. She's worked overseas with her husband, and you can have a conversation that at least expands more than 2 or 3 minutes. But again, even with her definite advantage speaking English, it's still not the kind of English that an English person talks to you with. And that's not being disrespectful to the lady. But the thing is that often I'm trying to explain my situation that I was in, or that I am in, and to get her feedback on what she thinks about it and how maybe her husband would have dealt with things. And it's intriguing to see that I've actually had to, in many cases, try a different presentation, maybe 2 or 3 times before I get an understanding in my own mind that she understands what I'm talking about. You know, admittedly, I know I have a hearing problem, and I must address that. I must get myself a more update version of my hearing aid. But again, it's down to cost, and buying something online, you have to be sure that what you're buying is going to achieve the end result. So I tend to buy my hearing aids online with Lazada. And the thing is with Lazada, if it doesn't do what I thought it was going to do within a few minutes of me just putting it in my ear, battery in it, if there's no substantial difference, then it gets back in the package and I send it back for maybe a more powerful version. So I'm going to order one, hopefully in the next week or so. Being closer to Manila, I'm hoping that it will come quicker, because sometimes it takes nearly 8 or 10 days to come, which is still pretty good anyway. So, guys, don't give up. If you're talking to your girlfriend's friend, or your wife, you sometimes just have to get used to the fact that you repeat yourself a lot, just like I've had to, trying to get my point across. Even my friend, the English Dutch guy, his wife, she has a slightly quicker response, maybe. But then again, it's interpretation. You're never quite sure if they really do understand essentially what you're trying to get across. It's not the words, it's the reason for those words to be in the sentence, and the responses you expect to get are sometimes a little bit apart. So The other thing, of course, it's one final thing, and that is it's so easy to offend people. I have a habit of my aghast at something. I should learn to say my goodness more often than using the words that are often referred to as bad words. Yes, I understand that. I understand the translation of that word, or those two words. So I must remember that lots of people, when you're talking, especially when they're strangers in your life. I mean, I've been here for 1 week, and I've spent probably a day and a half, too, having some pretty good conversations with some of the locals. And some you can get away a bit cheeky and just being yourself. But for some, they've been brought up in a slightly different environment. And maybe they're a bit more religious than I bumped into before. So if you like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. It's important that you give these thumbs up. Even if you, yes, give us a thumbs up. Even if it's a thumbs down, it doesn't matter. It still goes towards responses to the video. In other words, it tells the algorithm that there is an interest in the channel.